The scientific method. How do we know what's true? Ever wonder how we separate fact from fiction? That's where the scientific method comes in. It's like a built-in BS detector for reality. It works like this. 1. Observe something interesting. 2. Ask a question, why does this happen? 3. Make a hypothesis, a fancy word for an educated guess. 4. Test it with experiments. 5. Analyze the results. Does the evidence support your idea, or did reality just smack you in the face? 6. Conclusion. Adjust your idea based on what the evidence actually says. The key? You have to be willing to be wrong. Falsifiability, the science filter. Now, here's the real game changer. Falsifiability, also called refutability. If a claim is scientific, it must be possible to prove it wrong if the evidence goes against it. If there's no way to test or disprove it, it's not science, it's just speculation. For example, gravity makes objects fall. We can test that by dropping things. The universe is controlled by an undetectable force. How would you ever prove that wrong? You can't. It's unfalsifiable. Example, astrology versus astronomy. Let's take astronomy. It predicts eclipses and planetary motion with precision because it's based on testable science. Now, astrology, it says the stars control your personality, but it's so vague and flexible that there's no way to disprove it. That makes it unfalsifiable, meaning it's outside the realm of science. The bottom line, science isn't about proving yourself right. It's about testing ideas and being open to the truth. If a claim can't be tested, challenged, or disproven, it might be interesting. But it's not science. So next time you hear a wild claim, ask yourself, can this be tested? Can it be proven wrong? If not, it's probably just a cool story.
You are familiar with the thought experiment, the ship of Theseus, in the field of identity metaphysics? Naturally. The ship of Theseus is an artifact in a museum. Over time, its planks of wood rot and are replaced with new planks. When no original plank remains, is it still the ship of Theseus?
What even is identity, and why should we care? Alright, let's talk about identity metaphysics, a fancy term for a pretty mind-blowing question. What makes something the same over time, even when it changes? Think about it. Are you still the same person you were at 5 years old? If you swap out all the parts of a ship one by one, is it still the same ship? These are the kinds of puzzles identity metaphysics tackles. What defines sameness? Philosophers have different takes. Qualitative identity. Two things are identical if they share all the same properties. Example, two identical twin statues look the same but are still separate objects. Numerical identity. Something remains the same entity over time, even if it changes. Example, you are still you despite growing up and changing. Psychological continuity. According to John Locke, a person stays the same if they have the same memories and consciousness. If your mind was uploaded into a computer, is that still you? Biological or body theory? Identity is tied to your physical body. If you swapped bodies with someone, who's who? Spoiler alert, there's no one clear answer, but these ideas help shape how we think about identity in everything from philosophy to law. Philosophy versus science. Who's asking what? Philosophy is all about deep questions like, what does it mean to be the same person? How do we define something that changes? Science, on the other hand, deals with what's testable. How does memory work? Neuroscience. How do materials change over time? Physics, chemistry, both are trying to understand reality, but they go about it in very different ways. One through logic and reasoning, the other through data and experiments. How identity gets messy in law, here's where it gets tricky. Law needs clear definitions that can be enforced, but identity isn't always so clear-cut. Example, personhood and legal rights philosophy asks, what makes someone a person? Consciousness, memories, biology. Science examines, how does brain function define consciousness? What happens in cases of memory loss? Law must decide, when does life legally begin? Can AI or corporations have rights? Law doesn't always wait for philosophy and science to figure things out. It often has to draw the line somewhere, even if it's arbitrary. Other tricky legal debates shaped by philosophy and science. Privacy in the digital age. What counts as a violation of privacy? Free speech versus hate speech. Where do we draw the line between opinion and harm? Gender identity. How should the law define gender? Is gender identity like a belief in God? At first glance, gender identity and belief in God seem totally unrelated, but they have some interesting philosophical similarities. Both are based on an internal experience. Religious belief often comes from faith or personal revelation. Gender identity comes from an internal sense of self. Both are widely debated. Philosophers argue, is gender socially constructed or biologically determined? Philosophers also ask, is God real, or is belief a human invention? Neither can be scientifically proven in the traditional sense. Science can study how people experience gender or faith, but it can't prove or disprove personal identity or religious belief. Both shape laws and society. Religion influences morality, culture, and legal rights. Gender identity affects policies, social norms, and legal recognition. At the end of the day, science, philosophy, and law all interact, but they don't always agree. While philosophy explores deep questions, science provides testable data, and law has to make practical decisions, even when the answers aren't crystal clear. So what do you think? Are gender identity and religion the same thing? If they're not, what are the differences?
Right to have babies.
Good idea, Judith. We shall fight the oppressors for your right to have babies, brother. Sister, sorry. What's the point? What? What's the point of fighting for his right to have babies when he can't have babies? It is symbolic of our struggle against oppression.
Symbolic of his struggle against reality.